if you're a fan of Dave Chappelle, then you're going to love this video right here. I feel like Dave Chappelle is one of the greatest comedians of all time. If you agree, right, agree. If you disagree, right, disagree. But then unfollow me, all right? This guy right here is not afraid to cross lines, and he's not afraid to be quote-unquote canceled. There's some people in this world that are uncancelable. Dave Chappelle is one of them. Bill Burr is another one. George Carlin and any other comedian that is not afraid to say the truth is uncancelable. All right, we're going to get into this. This is him destroying woke culture. I want to know why you guys like Dave Chappelle, if you've ever met him, and tell me why you are a fan of him. Without further ado, I don't want to hold nobody back, so let's get right into this reaction, and let's see what Dave's talking about on here, man. Let's see what we got, man.
I say all that to say, that's how trans people make me feel.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a deep dive into the mind of one of the most controversial and unapologetic comedians of our time, Dave Chappelle. Recently, Chappelle has faced protests from the LGBTQ+ community, with some even calling for his cancellation. But instead of backing down, Chappelle has doubled down, turning their outrage into some of the sharpest and funniest commentary we've ever seen. Tonight, we'll explore how Dave Chappelle uses humor to take on woke culture, one punchline at a time. So buckle up. This is going to be a wild ride.
As he knew that I was the biggest Jim Carrey fan in the world. Now, I'm not gonna go all into it, but Jim Carrey is talented in a way that you can't practice or rehearse. What a God-given talent. I was fascinated with him. And Norm knew that. And he called me up and he goes, Dave, he says, I'm doing a movie with Jim Carrey. Do you want to meet him? And I said, fuck, yes I do. And it was the first time I could remember since my father died being excited. And the movie was called Man on the Moon.
I never knew Dave Chappelle's dad died. Write a rest in peace in the comments for Dave Chappelle, man, because he's like family to me, man. And I feel like if his dad died, he deserves a rest in peace from us.
I didn't know any of this. And in this movie, Jim Carrey was playing another comedian I admired, the late, great Andy Kaufman. Yes, and Jim Carrey was so immersed in that role that from the moment he woke up to the time he went to bed at night, he would live his life as Andy Kaufman. I didn't know that. When they said cut, this nigga was still Andy Kaufman. So much so that everybody on the crew called him Andy. I didn't know any of that. I just went there to meet him, and when he walked into the room where we were supposed to meet, I screamed, Jim Carrey! And everyone said, no! Call him Andy. And I didn't understand. And then he came over and he was acting weird. I didn't know he was acting like Andy Kaufman. Just like, hey, how you doing? And I was like, hello. Andy? Now, in hindsight, how fucking lucky am I that I got to see one of the greatest artists of my time immersed in one of his most challenging processes ever. Very lucky to have seen that. But as it was happening, I was very disappointed. Because I wanted to meet Jim Carrey, and I had to pretend this nigga was Andy Kaufman all afternoon. And he was clearly Jim Carrey. I could look at him and I could see he was Jim Carrey. Anyway, I say all that to say, that's how trans people make me feel.
Yo. Oh,
Here we go.
Look, he does have a point, and I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not good with pronouns because I was taught a certain way to just address people. So I find this problem that I've been in situations, and I want to know if you guys ever been in a situation where somebody's trying to correct the pronoun you're using, and you're not getting it because you're like, what am I saying wrong? Whatever you identify is cool, but you have to allow people to adjust too. You can't expect everybody to go. Like if you're walking down the block, you're brolic as hell like me with a wig on, first thing I'm going to say is, what's up, bro? It's just the way it goes. Then if I needed to be corrected on pronouns or something, good, put that out there. But don't expect me to instantly know this is wrong. I'm just not going to know that. I have to adjust to the way of life, the same way that that person did. You know what I mean? So I want to know y'all views on that in the comments.
Now, if you guys came here to this show tonight,
Chappelle kicks things off by sharing a story about meeting Jim Carrey, who was so deep into his role as Andy Kaufman that even off camera, he never broke character. Chappelle was left feeling confused, disappointed, and a bit let down. Kind of like how he feels about the whole gender identity debate. It's not about dismissing anyone's experience. It's about pointing out the layers of identity and how sometimes what you see isn't always what you get. And speaking of confusion, this brings us to the next topic, Chappelle's thoughts on the alphabet people.
But you see, what I didn't realize at the time and what Kevin had to learn the hard way is we were breaking an unwritten and unspoken rule of show business. And if I say it, you'll know that I'm telling you the truth. The rule is that no matter what you do in your artistic expression, you are never, ever allowed to upset the alphabet people. You know who I mean. Those people that took 20% of the alphabet for themselves. I'd say the letters, but I don't want to conjure their anger. That's too late now. I'm talking about them L's and them B's and them G's and the T's. People be surprised. I have friends, all kinds of letters. Everybody loves me, and I love everybody. I got friends who are L's, I got friends who are B's, and I got friends who are G's. But the T's hate my fucking guts. And I don't blame them. It's not their fault, it's mine. I can't stop telling jokes about these things. I don't want to write these jokes, but I just can't stop. You know, you hear all those letters together all the time, LBGT, LBGT, and you think it's just one big movement. It's not. All those letters are their own movement. They just travel in the same car together. And my guess is
Chappelle dives headfirst into his observations on the LGBTQ+ community, affectionately, or perhaps not so affectionately, referred to as the alphabet people. He points out the unwritten rule in showbiz. You can joke about almost anything except them. You know who I mean. Those people who took 20 letters of the alphabet for themselves. It's a classic Chappelle move, blending humor with a critique of societal norms and the sacred cows of our time.
That's what makes him a legend. I mean, yo, comedians are not supposed to have no limits. I get very mad when I hear people going, cancel this person and can't. You're not canceling somebody that brings light to us, bro. Cancel whoever you want, but these people are uncancelable. And the fact that you think you can cancel somebody that has done this much for the culture is just impossible. But I want the cancel culture to realize, cancel yourself before you cancel Dave Chappelle, because I would rather have a bunch of people canceled that are not Dave Chappelle than have Dave Chappelle stop saying whatever he's going to say. You know what I'm saying? For real.
But if you thought he was done with the alphabet people, wait until you hear his thoughts on equality in sports.
When I watch sports, I be thinking about, think about, okay, say LeBron James changed his gender. You know what I mean? Okay, can he stay in the NBA, or, because he's a woman, does he have to go to the WNBA where he will score 840 points a game?
That's true. Hey, I want to know what y'all think about that. Should he have to go to the WNBA or stay in the NBA?
What does it actually mean to be equal? You know what I mean? Like, if women are actually equal to men, then there would be no WNBA, would there? You would just be good enough to play in the NBA with us. Or, here's another idea that's going to be very controversial. You could shut the fuck up.
And joins the WNBA, asking if that would really be fair. It's not just a joke, it's a challenge to our understanding of equality. Should we ignore biological differences in the name of fairness? Or are we just setting ourselves up for more confusion? Chappelle isn't afraid to ask these tough questions, even if the answers aren't easy to hear. And speaking of fairness, or the lack thereof, Chappelle has something to say about Caitlyn Jenner winning Woman of the Year.
Caitlyn Jenner, whom I've met, wonderful person, Caitlyn Jenner was voted Woman of the Year. Her first year as a woman. Ain't that something? Be Every bitch in Detroit, she's better than all of you.
What is your view on that? Why would he? All right. What is your view on Caitlin Clark getting voted the best woman in the world? Just tell me your views. I think that's a little insane. Yeah, I'll talk about that then.
Never even had a period. Ain't that something? Oh, I'd be mad as shit if I was a woman. I'd be mad if I was me. If I was in a BET Awards sitting there and they're like, and the winner for Nigger of the Year, Eminem, my man.
Chappelle finds it both amusing and perplexing that Caitlyn Jenner, in her very first year as a woman, could beat out every other woman in America for the title of Woman of the Year. He jokes about how women who've been putting in the work their entire lives might feel a little cheated. It's a funny but pointed commentary on how society sometimes bends the rules in favor of the narrative, even when it doesn't quite add up. But don't get too comfortable. Chappelle's got more to say about identity, especially when it comes to race.
It's like that white black bitch that's in the news all the time. Rachel Dolezal. She always says that. She's a white woman, but then she dressed up like a nigga and shot her way up to the very top of blackness. And I always wanted to meet her just so I could understand. I just wanted to like have dinner with her so I could just look in her eyes and call her a nigger to her face. The fuck is that bitch talking about? I identify black. That is trans talk, ladies. Stop biting. Stop biting. There's a big difference between her and a trans. The difference between her and a trans is I believe transgenders. I don't understand them either, but I know they mean what they say. Them niggas cut their dicks off. That's all the proof I need. I've never seen somebody just throw their dick away. Don't need it.
Chappelle takes a detour into the story of Rachel Dolezal, the white woman who famously identified as black. He compares her situation to that of transgender people, noting that while he may not fully understand either, he believes transgender individuals because of the lengths they go to affirm their identity. It's a sharp observation on the complexities of identity, whether racial or gender-based, and how society navigates these often murky waters. And speaking of murky waters, Chappelle doesn't shy away from discussing the complexities of cancel culture.
Celebrity hunting season. Doesn't matter what I say, they're gonna get everybody eventually. Like, look, I don't think I did anything wrong, but we'll see.
Chappelle addresses the reality of cancel culture, where no one, celebrity or otherwise, is safe from public scrutiny. He knows that no matter what he says, someone will be offended. I don't think I did anything wrong, but we'll see, he says with a blend of defiance and resignation. His humor here isn't just about making light of the situation. It's a commentary on the fragility of today's social climate, where anyone can become a target. Which brings us to his latest controversy, his run-in with Netflix and the LGBTQ+ community.
It's been said in the press that I was invited to speak to the transgender employees at Netflix, and I refuse. That is not true. If they had invited me, I would have accepted it, although I am confused about what we are speaking about. You said you want a safe working environment at Netflix. Well, it seems like I'm the only one that can't go to the office anymore. I want everyone in this audience to know that even though the media frames this, that it's me versus that community, that is not what it is. Do not blame the LGBTQ community for any of this. This has nothing to do with them. It's about corporate interests and what I can say and what I cannot say.
Chappelle clears up the misinformation surrounding the Netflix controversy.
Yo, Dave Chappelle gives me a George Carlin feel. You know, and George Carlin is a legend to me. You know, rest in peace to George Carlin. But he gives me that George Carlin feel where it's like he's teaching you at the same time and joking. And it's the perfect blend of learning. You know what I mean? When somebody can actually joke and be serious about something and teach you at the same time. That's really a gift.
Stating that he was never actually invited to speak with the company's transgender employees. But more importantly, he highlights that this isn't really about the LGBTQ+ community. It's about corporate interests dictating what can and cannot be said. It's a powerful reminder that the real battle isn't always with other people, but with the systems that seek to control free speech. And just when you think Chappelle might let it go, he's got more to say about his ongoing dialogue, or lack thereof, with the transgender community.
Thinking that I'm gonna make fun of those people again. You've come to the wrong show. I'm not fucking with those people anymore. It wasn't worth the trouble. I ain't saying shit about trans people. Maybe 3 or 4 times a night, but that is it. Tired of talking about them. And you wanna know why I'm tired of talking about them? Because these people acted like I needed them to be funny. Well, that's ridiculous. I don't need you. I got a whole new angle. You guys will never see this shit coming. I ain't doing trans jokes no more. You know what I'm gonna do tonight? Tonight.
Despite his reputation, Chappelle insists he's tired of making jokes about trans people. Yet, he can't seem to escape the topic because society keeps bringing him back to it. He's candid about his frustration, pointing out that some people think he needs this material to be funny. It's a revealing moment that shows the tension between what Chappelle wants to focus on and what the audience expects. But if you think that means he's backing down, think again. Chappelle has some final words for his critics.
I am more than willing to give you an audience, but you will not summon me. I am not bending to anybody's demands. And if you want to meet with me, I'd be more than willing to, but I have some conditions. First of all, you cannot come if you have not watched my special from beginning to end. Am I canceled or not? Then let's go. Thank you very much and good night.
Chappelle wraps up the Netflix controversy with a clear and unapologetic statement. He's willing to meet with the transgender community, but on his terms. He won't be summoned or coerced, and he certainly won't compromise his principles. His final words are a defiant reminder that while he may be open to dialogue, he won't allow anyone to dictate the terms of his art or his freedom of speech. And while he's on the subject of things people don't want to hear, Chappelle has a few thoughts on the state of comedy in today's world.
But there's a more important reason that I would stop doing comedy right now. And this reason is the real reason that's been percolating, and it really is the crowd, not you. I'm talking about the crowd on the big stage. It's too hard to entertain a country whose ears are so brittle. Motherfuckers are so sensitive, the whole country is turned into bitch-ass niggas.
Chappelle reflects on how difficult it has become to do comedy in a world where everyone seems to be offended by something. He recalls how much things have changed since the days of Chappelle's show. And his frustration is palpable. It's not just about avoiding certain topics. It's about the larger issue of how fragile people's sensibilities have become, making it increasingly challenging to entertain without backlash. But Chappelle isn't just here to complain. He's got some personal reflections to share as well.
I was a soft kid. I was sensitive, I'd cry easy, and I would be scared to fist fight. And my mother used to tell me this thing, I don't even know if you remember, but you said this to me more than once. You said, son, sometimes you have to be a lion so you can be the lamb you really are. I talk this like a lion. I'm not afraid of any of you. When it comes word to word, I will gab with the best of them, just so I can chill and be me. And that's why I love my art form, because I understand every practitioner of it. Whether I agree with them or not, I know where they're coming from. They want to be heard. They got something to say. There's something they notice. They just want to be understood. Love this genre.
Chappelle gets personal, sharing how comedy has been his lifeline. Despite his tough exterior, he reveals that he was once a sensitive kid who cried easily. But comedy gave him the strength to stand up and speak his mind in a world that often tries to silence dissenting voices. It's a poignant reminder that beneath the jokes and controversy, Chappelle is an artist who deeply values his craft and the freedom it gives him. Speaking of freedom, Chappelle's next topic might surprise you. It's about abortion.
I'll be real with you, and I know nobody gives a fuck what I think anyway. I'm not for abortion. Oh, shut up, nigga. I'm not for it, but I'm not against it either. It all depends on who I get pregnant. I don't care. I'll tell you right now, I don't care what your religious beliefs are or anything. If you have a dick, you need to shut the fuck up on this one. Seriously. This is theirs. The right to choose is their unequivocal right. Not only do I believe they have the right to choose, I believe that they shouldn't have to consult anybody except for a physician about how they exercise that right. Gentlemen, that is fair. And ladies, to be fair to us, I also believe if you decide to have the baby, a man should not have to pay. That's fair. If you can kill this motherfucker, I can at least abandon him. It's my money, my choice. And if I'm wrong, then perhaps we're wrong. Just figure that shit out for yourselves.
In a surprising turn, Chappelle tackles the complex issue of abortion with his trademark mix of humor and seriousness. He's not taking a definitive stance. Instead, he's highlighting the contradictions and complexities of the debate. His humor here is sharp, but it also reflects the broader societal conversation around this issue, showing that even the most divisive topics can be approached with nuance.
Doesn't matter what I say. And if you at home watching this shit on Netflix, remember, bitch, you clicked on my face.
Chappelle reminds us that, at the end of the day, we all have a choice in what we consume. If you're watching his special on Netflix, it's because you clicked on his face. You knew what you were getting into. It's a simple yet powerful statement about personal responsibility and the idea that you can't blame the artist for what you chose to watch. And speaking of choices, Chappelle isn't shy about making bold ones in his comedy.
I feel bad for teas, but they're so confusing. And it's not all my fault. I feel like they need to take some responsibility for my jokes. Because I didn't come up with this idea on my own. This idea that a person can be born in the wrong body. But they have to admit, that's a fucking hilarious predicament. It's really fucking funny. If it happened to me, you'd laugh, wouldn't you? That wouldn't be funny if it happened to me? I think it would be. What if it did? What if I was Chinese, but born in this nigga body? That's not funny. And for the rest of my life, I had to go around making that face. Hey, everybody, I'm Chinese! And everyone would get mad. Stop making that face. That's offensive. What? This is how I feel inside.
It's a prime example of how he uses humor to tackle the most controversial topics, challenging us to laugh at the absurdities of life, even when they hit close to home. So, what have we learned from Dave Chappelle's fearless dive into the culture wars? From identity and equality to cancel culture and corporate interests, Chappelle tackles it all with wit, wisdom, and a hefty dose of controversy. In a world where everyone's trying to play it safe, Chappelle reminds us that sometimes the best way to make a point is with a punchline. Until next time, remember, if you're offended, just know you clicked on his face.
Anyway, I say all that to say,
Hey, yo, this was actually a good outlook on Dave Chappelle. I always enjoyed Dave Chappelle's comedy, and I never dove in this deep to realize he is going up against a whole culture of people that's trying to cancel him. We got to protect Dave Chappelle by any means, and I want y'all to write protect in the comments if you agree. We can't have anybody think in their mind that they're going to be able to cancel this man who has done so much for us. All right? If you guys have any recommendations on Dave Chappelle stuff that I should be reacting to, feel free to let me know. We're on our way to 100,000 subs by the end of this year, so hit that sub button, and I'll see you on the next one.